everyone, welcome to another Random Talk Sunday, and today I thought it would be interesting to briefly address something that is not only random but a little bit more general, and that is the topic of fashion, in particular clothing, because I think it sort of has been sort of a big part of our, I guess you could say, Western culture, as well as other cultures too. Fashion has played sort of a significant role and has changed over the years. In particular, I would say so more for women than for men, although men's fashion has changed over the years. But usually, I don't think it's something that men generally focus on, but is more of a women's thing, and I think that's something that's just based on my general observations and what I find to be true. But I like fashion to the extent of I like seeing what other people are wearing, and I like putting things together, and making outfits for myself to wear. I like that whole aspect of design. I think that's just something that appeals to me, and something that I think I can do well, although I'm sure everybody has different tastes than I do. But I've been noticing though too that when it comes to fashion, usually we adopt, especially this day and age, or um, unadopt certain kinds of trends. For example, uh, maxi dresses and midriffs now seem to be a big thing. I think midriffs in particular. And I don't really like necessarily going with certain trends. I just like looking at fashion in just a general sense and choosing what I think is cool to wear for me. I personally don't like this whole idea of, conforming to what other people are doing when it comes to wearing clothes. Like for me, it's always about what I like. It's not about what somebody else is wearing. But I like seeing what other people wear. It's just that there's just certain trends out there that I don't particularly care for or really gravitate towards. But I think there is this sort of, group think when it comes to fashion, and that, ooh, just because this person's wearing it, I should be wearing it. And to me, that's just not really thinking for yourself. So for me, I like to think for myself, and I don't like to just go with the crowd just for the sake of going with the crowd. When it comes to clothing, and obviously other things too, but since we're talking specifically about clothing, again, trends are just one of those things where I feel like either I like the idea or I don't like the idea. I don't base it off of if it's popular or not. I've noticed this too over the years. Fashion has become a lot more loose. Back in the day of the, like 1800s, women in particular wore really long dresses, and ever since ever since we started within the sort of 20th century, it's kind of gotten shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter over the years. And as far as outfits are concerned, it's not just with adults, but also with kids too, in particular teenage girls. I've noticed that a lot of teenage girls nowadays wear really, really raunchy clothing. Like they'll show their their belly buttons. They'll wear these excessively shorts, and like not like loose shorts, but like really tight knit shorts. Um, they'll expose, like they'll wear these really see-through tops where they'll expose their backs and things like that. And to me, I think there's just a certain part of fashion that I consider to be classy, and then there's just other parts of fashion that I think are just way too raunchy and are not really appropriate to wear around everywhere constantly. And I've noticed that it's really a lot of younger girls now who are wearing these kinds of very revealing clothing, and I personally don't think that's right. I mean, the parents can dictate what they should and shouldn't wear. But at the same time, I feel like it's just gotten to the point where it's sort of ridiculous. Um, and I think it's not it's not like that these people are adults. I mean, they're still children. So I think it's a way of rebellion, so to speak, but I just think that wearing these kinds of very revealing clothing, which again, we've gotten more extensively revealing, I think, over the years, um, just goes to show that I personally think that that's just not, I just don't think it's classy. I don't think it's sophisticated. I don't think it's um, interesting. I just think it's done for the sake of, like, and again, they'll expose their whole chest. They'll have like these midriffs where you'll see their rib cage, or they'll have these see-through tops in the back where you can see everything. And again, they'll wear the really really short and tight shorts. Um, and yeah, and then somehow we accept that and think that's appropriate. And to be honest, I think that I think there should just be some standards when it comes to clothing, especially when it's for kids. If it's adults, I really don't care because they're adults. But at the same time, you don't really see adults again wearing that kind of clothing. It's usually really young girls. And again, I think it's gotten excessively shorter and shorter and more revealing over the years fashion. And I think that's just because our culture has just gone to sort of accept it. Um, and for me personally, I don't really like revealing all too much. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna be wearing like shirts that are always up to here all the time. But at the same time, I just think that just the way in which we approach fashion nowadays, I think it's more, the more you show, the better. And to me, I don't think that's the case at all. I think it should be based on what you like and what colors and patterns appeal to you. And it shouldn't be about trying to reveal yourself or expose yourself to everybody. And so I think that's what we sort of lost when it comes to fashion. It's a loss sort of creativity, and is more, designed to be, just re- just revealing, not creative or interesting. Also, I think there has been over the years this loss of practicality when it comes to fashion. Like when I literally see all these high-end fashion shows, I go, who in the right mind would wear that? Like it just doesn't seem practical. Like some of the outfits, they just look so uncomfortable to wear. Or they just look so ridiculous. Like they don't look like what an average person would wear across the street. Um, and then we treat fashion like this high end thing, when even the high end things don't even seem practical to wear, or even have as an outfit. There's just something ridiculous about it. I think that again, I think people sort of get lost too much in their creativity, and then it's not practical. It's not appealing. It's just strange. It's just bizarre. Um, so I think there has been this move towards making fashion again very strange and high art and not as practical. And there's also been a move to sort of make fashion more revealing, make fashion more based on what you show rather than, the clothing itself. And so I think that's really what I've noticed when it comes to fashion over the years. personally, I prefer longer dresses over shorter ones, or I prefer, you know, nice pattern things, and I mean, just again, it's not that not revealing it's not that revealing anything is bad. It's just the extent of what we reveal. I think especially nowadays, especially the younger generation, is just way too much and is a little bit too it's just a little bit too revealing for my taste. So yeah, I think there's just something about today's uh, fashion and how it's changed over the years that I think has gotten to the point where it's either, again, impractical and just really high art and not something that you could even wear, or it's something that's, yeah, again, it's way too revealing, or is not as practical. But again, I think that's just more based upon what I've seen people wearing, and not so much what I see at the stores. I mean, and yeah, I think there is a lot of good clothes out there, and I do love going and seeing what they have at the stores. But it seems like what people are choosing to wear is definitely a lot more revealing, and what we consider high fashion is very just goofy and not practical, and just outrageous. Um, but overall, I think fashion is just something that I've always found interesting. Um, Again, I think there's a lot of people that have their own opinions when it comes to this topic, and have their own understanding. But for me personally, I just I like what I like, and I wear it. It's that simple. Um, but I don't wear things just based upon how revealing they are, or or just because it's the trend or whatnot. But I think the trend has gone over the years to become even more revealing, more revealing, more revealing. As opposed to, just kind of staying in one spot. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that I think was sort of kind of bound to happen. Um, but yeah, I just prefer having some kind of taste, and just being classy. Um, it just fits more with who I am, and it's just what I like. But again, I can understand why there might be people who think differently than I do. But that's just what I've noticed when it comes to fashion. But I think that's really all I can say about this topic. It's pretty straightforward. Especially when you look at sort of fashion throughout history, you'll see how things got a little bit more revealing over the years, and how patterns have changed. You've adopted certain styles and readopted them, or you'll see how when you look through history, you sort of see why the styles evolved into the way that they did. Um, and you sort of see people readopting certain styles. Um, but yeah, that's just kind of ultimately all I can say when it comes to this topic. It's interesting, and again, I don't want to go through a whole fashion thing where I tell you about what I have in my closet. But again, I think it's an interesting topic. It's just that I've noticed that there's just some things about it that do kind of bother me, in the sense that, I don't like to conform to trends, and again, I don't like how we've gotten to the point where we're too revealing, especially for younger kids, and I don't like the fact that we've turned fashion into this really high art that you can't even wear, and it's not practical. But yeah, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.